Hello there, and welcome to this mathematics class presented to you by O3 Schools JAMB app. And yes, we've said it once, we've said it a million times, and yet we shall still keep saying it. O3 Schools JAMB app is simply the best. It's an application which you can use as you prepare for your examination. And now you may ask, okay, why do I need the O3 Schools JAMB app? Well, because it doesn't just give you access to past questions, it gives you a platform with which you can actually take mock CBT tests before the day of the exam. And as this app can be installed not just on phones but also on your computers and your laptops, your desktops, that really helps you see exactly how the software JAMB will use to operate their exams. You can actually use it to practice before that day. So you get comfortable with the system, you understand how the interface works, you know what to press, and of course what not to press as well. Here to School JAMB app has a lot of features. And then you may also say, well, this is not the only JAMB app out there. Why do I need this one? Well, because this one has its own unique set of features, which makes it different from the rest. For example, my personal favorite, the question search feature. You can actually search for questions by keywords. So you simply have to go to the question search part and choose the subject, and simply you can type in a keyword or phrase so that questions bearing that keyword or phrase come up. You have to go to, it's like so easy. It enables you to find questions you might have seen once and you wanted to retackle, but you've forgotten exactly where you saw them. It helps you find questions much easily than going to check, the entire past question looking for a question as that has to do with this. And also, you could even set your mock exams and change different parameters. You can change the time, you can change the number of questions, you can change the number of subjects, you could even change topics. You see, so much is available to you on the O3 Schools JAMB app. There's even the aspects on school information, where you shall be seeing the different schools in Nigeria, the courses they actually offer, and the criteria to study any of those courses in these universities. The O3 Schools JAMB app simply gives you a lot, but this can only be accessed upon activation of the app. And to activate this app costs simply 2,500 naira. Extremely cheap and affordable. And of course, payment is also quite easy. There are different ways to pay. Within the app, you shall see the different options. You could pay to Google Play. You could pay online, which is basically using Paystack, using your debit card. And once you do that, your app gets activated instantly. Or you can use the third method in which you have to transfer money to the O3 Schools account. You could do that by going to your POS, to the bank, using your phone, your choice. But once you transfer the money, you can simply send the receipt to the phone number which you shall see within the app, and you shall be attended to. You see, O3 Schools app is designed for your comfort and to enable you get the best learning experience possible. So do get your app and come with me to this math class. And yes, we shall be looking in this class at statistics, but we're going to be focusing on measures of dispersion. You can see previous video we have looked at measures of central tendency. Now we shall be looking at measures of dispersion. Nothing much has changed in regards to what we're actually studying, the parameters we shall use to solve. We're just going to be solving for a couple new things. In measures of central tendency, that basically has to do with how close together the data is. But in measures of dispersion, looking at how far apart, what spreads them apart, how the distance between these data. And there are three key things we'll look at over here. The first is mean deviation. And right now, I'm going to be taking the formulas as we look at each of them. For your mean deviation, that's a simple formula, which is summation absolute value of mean minus x over n. What does this mean? Here you have to be careful. Not just summation of x, but no, First of all, you have to find the mean of the data, and then you subtract that mean from each of these values. For example, let's say the data is 5, 6, and 7. You get your mean as 6. Then you have to use this mean to subtract each of the values. However, the bars by the side, these symbols, they represent absolute value, modulo. And this absolute value simply means we must take the positive value no matter what we get. For example, we know 6 minus 7 is minus 1. But because of this absolute value, we forget all about the minus and we always take the positive values. So, first things first, find your mean, then subtract each and every single value from that mean, taking only the positive values. Even if they are negative, forget about the minus and take them as positive. Then add them together. Obviously, that's your summation. Then you can divide by the number of values, and that gives you your mean deviation. However, if it was a grouped data, in that case, we now have summation f, mean minus x over summation f. That means that in this case, as you may know, each of them had their own frequencies. After subtracting, but before adding, you multiply them by their frequencies. That's all. Now I will just give you a bit of information. This doesn't come out much in JAMB. Some students keep on saying JAMB sets difficult questions, but JAMB, before setting questions, know how much time you have. So it's not likely to give you questions that would take too long. And for that reason, whenever setting on grouped data, or rather on dispersion, they don't like giving grouped data much. They give you discrete data, which is easier to tackle. This over this. Doesn't mean this is impossible, it's just unlikely. So know it, but keep in mind, you're more likely to see this than this. Then, of course, we have variance. And for your variance, that becomes summation modulus squared over n. And you notice the difference between this and this is that before the addition in your variance, you square the values. That's all really. Before you add up all your mean minus x, you square them and divide by n. But of course, if they are grouped, it becomes summation f mean minus x squared over summation f. So you see, that's all. Before you add, you squared. And then last but not least, we have standard deviation. Standard deviation. And this is very, very simple. It is the square root of variance. The standard deviation is the square root of variance. So basically, the square root of this formula gives you your standard deviation. The square root of sigma modulus squared over n. Now, this reminds me of one very, very funny question I once saw, in which they gave you variance and then asked you to find standard deviation after giving you, your long data. Please note that there's no point in all those long analysis. All you simply have to do is that once you know variance, take square root, you have standard deviation. If I tell you the variance is already 4, and I then give you a bunch of data, there's no need to go finding all this. Square root of 4 is 2, and you are done. You see, JAMB is occasionally quite easy. It's just that some of us tend to take the long route rather than the short one, and we'll find ourselves complaining that this exam was difficult or too long or there was no time. If you mind your time and solve quickly, there's always enough time and even extra most times in JAMB. And with this, we actually have to move on now and look at a few examples. So let's see. The first one is from the year 2002, question 11. And for this one, we are told, calculate the mean deviation of the set of numbers. The numbers are 7, 3, 14, 9, 7, and 8. Want to get the mean deviation. And if you remember, mean deviation is sigma modulus over n. Now, this is typically done best in tabular form. And once you see the solving, you understand why. This is x. Then we'll call this part mean minus x. Let's see. First of all, let's get the mean. Obviously, the mean will be 7 plus 3 plus 14 plus 9 plus 7 plus 8 all over the number of numbers, which is 6. This is 10, 24, 83, 40, 48. 48 over 6. And that is, just use the calculator. 48 over 6 is 8. So, let's now go back here and use that table to help ourselves out. What's my data? My data is 7, 3, 14, 9, 7, and 8. Now I know my mean is 8. So let's get mean minus x for each of them. Remember, absolute values. We always take everything as positive. 8 minus 7 is 1. 8 minus 3 is 5. 8 minus 14 is minus 6. But due to the absolute value, I take it as simply 6. 8 minus 9 is minus 1. But again, absolute value, 1. 8 minus 7, 1. 8 minus 8, 0. And getting the summation of these gives me 1 plus 5, 6, plus 6, 12, 13, and 14. And as such, I know that my mean deviation becomes, what's the summation? We know that's 14 over the number of values, which is 8. And 14 over 8 is 1.75. So we're getting 1.75, but a quick look at my options tells me that that is not possible. Because in my options, I'm having the options in fractions, yes, but none of the fractions could be 1.75. So what can I do? Check your solving again. If, and note, when checking your solving, I recommend you go from back to front. That way, if the mistake was towards the ending, you find it quickly. It's much better than going to the beginning and realizing your mistake was pretty much at the end and that you've suffered yourself. Like right now, once I go back here, I'm like, okay, this mean deviation is summation of your modulus, which you've gotten here, over n. But n is 6, not 8. So you just see where my discrepancy came from. My number of values was 6, not 8. That was a very silly mistake, which, well, we're all human. It could happen to anybody. And so you try to avoid those silly mistakes. But that's why I said it's better to search for your mistake from the bottom to the top than from top to bottom. Don't just give up and try and shade anything, because then you may be wrong. So 14 over 6. And because I know my options are in fraction form, then I'll simply say, okay, 2 into 6 is 3, 2 into 14 is 7. And 7 over 3 must be 2 whole number, 1 over 3, which obviously is option C. So you see, this is how we can solve for mean deviation. Very, very simple. Next up, we'll go to the year 1997. 1997, I'll look at question 37. So let's see. Find the difference between the range and the variance of the following set of numbers. Set of numbers is 4, 9, 6, 3, 2, 8, 10, 5, 6, 7. But then we are told where summation d squared equals to 60. Now, please note that this d is used to represent mean minus x. So this means basically they've told us that summation mean minus x squared is 60. And if you remember, what is variance? Variance is simply summation. Let's use the d, which is the short form, all over n. Which means I don't have to go through the long journey. And this is why I pointed out. At times we suffer for no reason. Some of us will not go here and say, okay, let's find the mean first. Let's not get all our mean minus x. Then let's square them, and then you realize that you already had that value before. It's already 60, they've told you. So basically, all you have to say is variance should be 60 over how many data are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And as such, the variance must be 6. We want to find the difference between the variance and the range. So don't just jump and say your answer is D because you saw 6 there. I must also get the range. Range is biggest minus smallest. Obviously, my biggest is 10. Smallest is 2. So 10 minus 2 is 8. And now, can I get the difference? Of course. Difference means to subtract. So range minus variance becomes 8 minus 6, which is 2. And that is option A. So you see, this was very, very simple. Might have become cumbersome if we had tried to go through the long journey. But that's why I like to say that JAMB likes us. They always try to make the questions easier. Though, of course, we don't do that all the time, but typically, yes, they don't give you too long questions to solve. Okay, this time 2003, question 44. And for this one, it says the mean of the numbers, and the numbers are 3, 6, 4, x, and 7 is 5. If the mean of these numbers is 5, we have to find the standard deviation. Now, obviously, I know the mean, but I don't know one of the data. So I have to get that particular data because I know that 3 plus 4 plus 6 plus x plus 7 over their 5 data must be equal to 5. So 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 6 is 13, plus 7 is 20. So 20 plus x over 5 equals 5. First multiply. 20 plus x equals 25. X must be 25 minus 20, which is 5. And so now I know that my 5 different informations, I know all the 5 different data. I want to get standard deviation. And we know that standard deviation equals to the square root of summation mean minus x squared over n. That means if I can get standard deviation, I have to know mean minus x squared for each of them. So here's what you simply do. Take all your x values first of all. The x values are now 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Next up, mean minus x, absolute value. Mean minus x. The mean is 5, so 5 minus 3 is 2. 5 minus 4, 1. 5 minus 5, 0. 5 minus 6 minus 1, absolute 1. 5 minus 7 minus 2, absolute 2. And then to square these values becomes 2 squared 4, 1 squared 1, 0, 1, 4. And of course, now I can add them together and see that my standard deviation must be 4 plus 1 is 5, plus 1 plus 4 is 10 over how many values? 5. That's 10 over 5 is 2, which I can leave like that because that is option B. So you see how easy this is. So I recommend if you have to solve for mean deviation or standard deviation, you have to put them in a table like this because it's much easier to solve than trying to do them one by one. You might easily make mistakes. Or the table, you are less likely to. Okay. Next up, we have a similar looking question. We are told to find the variance of, in this case, the data is 2, 6, 8, 6, 2, and 6. Now, if you notice, some of this data is repeating. So you have two choices. You could go the normal route and do them one by one, but I would prefer to put them on a table and note their frequencies. Because right now, they are just 3 different data. 2, 6, and 8. 2 appears 2 times. 6 appears 3 times, 8 appears once. I didn't know that summation f is 6. Next up, I want to find variance. And if you remember, for variance, let's just put it down here. Variance is based on group data, summation f, mean minus x squared over summation f. Now, I need to know the mean before I can move on. So to know the mean, I know that mean equals to summation fx over summation f. So let's get fx. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 6 is 18. 8 times 1 is 8. And so if I add them up, 4 plus 18 is 22. Plus 8 is 30. I notice I can now get my mean by simply coming here and saying 30 over summation f is 6, and that's 5. And now, once I know my mean, I can now go for the next step. Mean minus x. I hope you see how easy this is. That's why I like the table method. You can just get each of your values one by one. Mean minus x. My mean is 5. 5 minus x. X is 2 here. 5 minus 2 is 3. 5 minus 6 is what? Minus 1. But again, absolute 1. 5 minus 8 is minus 3. Absolute is 3. But we're not quite done. We have to square them. So, mean minus x squared. 3 squared 9. 1 squared 1. 3 squared 9. But are we quite done? Almost. Just remember, there was f multiplying these values. In fact, I should be having f times mean minus x squared. F is 2. So 2 multiplies each of them. 2 times 9, 18. 3 times 1, 3. 1 times 9, 9. And my summation here must then be 18 plus 3, 21, plus 9, 30. I then realize that I can say that my variance would be summation 30 over summation f, which is 6, giving me 5. And when I take my options, that is option B. So you do see it, right? The steps are easy. There's no special mystery to your solving. Simply follow the right step, know what you need, and follow whatever step is required to get you to that value. Okay, I don't think I wrote it down, but this question was from the year 2001, question 47. Question we just finished, in case you want to find it, was from the year 2001, question 47. Now we go to the year 2000, also question 47. This one also asks us for variance, but it's a bit tricky. Instead, now we are giving numbers with letters x, 2x, 3x, 4x, and 5x. So let's see. Just as before, I must get my mean, obviously. My mean becomes the summation x plus 2x plus 3x plus 4x plus 5x over 5. So that's 6x, 10x, 15x over 5. So the mean is 3x. And as usual, I said before solving for these, I recommend putting your values in a table. You're looking for variance, which yes, confirm. You're looking for variance, which we know is summation mean minus x all squared over n. So that means once I know my x, as you know, x, 2x, 3x, 4x, and 5x, I can then begin to find the absolute value first of all. So my mean is 3x. 3x minus x is 2x. 3x minus 2x is 1x. 3x minus 3x is 0. 3x minus 4x is minus x. But absolute value makes it positive. Then here is also going to be 2x. And now I can simply square. 2x all squared is going to be 2 times 2, 4, then x squared. This will be x squared. This is still 0. X squared, then 4x squared. And so if I was to add them together, 4 plus 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6, plus 4 is 10. That's 10x squared over n, and n is 5, giving me my answer as 2x squared, which is option B. So you see, I keep on insisting, these are quite simple. There's no issue in the solving. There's no difficulty. So let's see. Go to the year 2000 and we look at question 42. For this one, we are told if the mean of the numbers, and numbers are 0, x plus 2, 3x plus 6, and 4x plus 8, if the mean is 4, find the mean deviation. Now, before I can actually get the mean deviation, I have to remove all these x from my expressions and know what they actually stand for. And because I know the mean, I know that mean equals to summation of x over n. So that means 4 equals to adding all these together. The first one is 0. Next is x plus 2, 3x plus 6, and then 4x plus 8. So how many are they? They are 4 data in all. So please try not to ignore that 0 because think it is just 0. It is still part of the data. So it must be over 4. So cross multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. Let's do addition here. X plus 3x, 4x, plus 4x, 8x. 2 plus 6, 8, plus 8, 16. Collect like terms. 8x equals 16 minus 16. And as such, 8x is 0, meaning x is 0. And therefore, my data must be, the first one is 0. Now, putting 0 here representing x, 0 plus 2 is 2. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 6 is 6. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 8 is 8. We want to get mean deviation, and we know for mean deviation, we need absolute value of mean minus x. And the mean is 4. So 4 minus 0 is 4, 4 minus 2 is 2, 4 minus 6 is minus 2, absolute is 2, 4 minus 8 is minus 4, absolute is also 4. And therefore, your mean division becomes, let's just write down the formula, that becomes 4 plus 2, 6, plus 2, 8, plus 4, 12 over how many data? 4. And therefore, the mean deviation is 3, which is option C. So you see, very, very, very simple. And with that, we've come to an end on this class on measures of dispersion. So you must notice it's not very difficult. Learn your formulas, those are key. Once you know your formulas, it's simply a matter of manipulating the data you are given into the proper form and then solving. It is truly, truly easy. But of course, we'll give you some questions to try on your own. You can, of course, find many more examples and more questions on the O3 Schools JAMB app. These are just a few which I've helped you pick out so you can start with them. And you must be aware, of course, if you have any issues with solving, please feel free to comment beneath this video and we shall ensure to reach out to you, explaining to the best of our abilities as to what you may be able to do to navigate such issues. Okay, I think we have just 5 questions. This one is 2004, question 7. So these are our questions. Please do well to solve them. Also, find more questions on your JAMB app and solve them. So we have come to an end of this class. I want to thank you very much for taking the time to actually watch this video. Please remember to get your O3 Schools JAMB app and activate it to enable easy learning experience. And in addition, you can like this video, comment, and share it to your friends who you think this will help them out. And wish you success in your examinations. Thank you for watching. My name is Athanasius.